The idea to record Strauss came after we finished recording Schnittke, Third Symphony. So that was the first thing we did together with the RSB for Pentaton. And when discussing the future projects with Pentaton, I said, now having heard the Schnittke in such a brilliantly three-dimensional way, and that's what a super audio recording gives you, it's a three-dimensional hearing. I would like to hear a few pieces of the main repertoire recorded like this, because I know they have not been recorded in super audio so far. And the first one which came to my mind was Zarathustra, of course, because there are certain things, certain similarities between the orchestral writing of Strauss and Schnittke. And so by hearing Schnittke, I thought, this kind of spectral analysis of the sound, that's what we would need for today's perception of Zarathustra, which in a way is a piece which launches the whole idea of the 20th century music. It was written, technically it was written still in the 19th century, but it's one of those pieces which heralds the new era to arrive, new century to arrive. And Pentaton were immediately excited about the idea of Strauss, but then Strauss is very short. So the question came what to go with it. And then I said, well, let's look at some pieces which were written in the immediate proximity and which would have the same meaning, the announcing of the next century. We decided to find a piece which would be more like an accompaniment piece for Zarathustra, Zarathustra being the main dish and the other one being more like a starter or a dessert after. And then I thought of the Totenfeier, because with my new engagement in Berlin, I am planning to do a lot of Mahler, and this orchestra hasn't done Mahler in years properly, certainly not with the chief conductor. And I think it's very important with Mahler that one starts at the very beginning. So goes through his entire oeuvre in order, in chronological order. And of course, First Symphony is a huge work, and it wouldn't fit on the same CD with Zarathustra. Totenfeier, however, which was written as a separate single work, has a duration of some 25 minutes, and tackles similar questions of life and death. And is also a very philosophical work. It is scored for a smaller orchestra than Zarathustra, and it still owes in style a lot to Mahler's teacher, Bruckner. And I find it very interesting to compare between the later version of Totenfeier, which we know is the first movement of Resurrection, Auferstehung Symphony number 2, and the early version of it, which is the Totenfeier. And in many ways, Totenfeier is a more honest, genuine statement. It's by far not as perfect, accomplished as the first movement of the second. And that's why I think it sits so interestingly next to Zarathustra, because Zarathustra is the opposite of it. Zarathustra is all about technical brilliance, accomplishment, and almost superficial glance, while with the Mahler the surfaces are much less polished, and there is much more aspiration to go into the depth of the things. So Strauss and Mahler appear as colleagues, but also antagonists in many ways. Artistically, they were certainly antagonists, although they respected one another and they performed one another's music. But I think it's going to be an interesting introduction for the orchestra to the style of Mahler. And of course, they are very experienced in playing Strauss, and they've recorded some wonderful Strauss CDs for Pentaton, also with Marek Janowski. So I think it's both. It's building upon their strength, which plays in their favor, but also introducing them to something new. And Mahler, in that sense, is a beginning of a new road to walk in the future.